International Women's Day and a fantastic presentation that we have both from Chloe and Kim. So ask you now if you'd like to put up your slides, please. This is a very interesting topic of the degree apprenticeship, which again is very new. And I must admit, I wish this had been around when I was actually going in for a degree. And if we can go on to full screen. That's it. Thank you very much.
So just checking you can see my slides. Yep.
Yes, we can. It looks great.
Perfect. So myself and Kim are going to be talking about degree apprenticeships to give a bit of an insight and to hopefully inspire a few more people to do a degree apprenticeship. So to start with, I'm Chloe and I'm a front-end software engineer for the National Oceanography Centre. I recently completed my degree apprenticeship in digital and technology solutions down the software engineer pathway, and I graduated with a first-class honours.
Hi, I'm Kimberley Draper. I'm the programme lead for degree apprenticeships for digital technology solutions, so where Chloe went. And I'm actually a Winchester alumni myself, so I'm really excited to support learners going through this, and also to counter for the fact that they have a full-time job alongside of a full-time degree. Okay, so what exactly is a degree apprenticeship? It may be a fairly new concept to some of you. They are gaining in their momentum, and it's a common question that people have, particularly people coming from colleges and potentially parents, because it's not a typical route into university. However, I think if we just go to the slide before, Chloe, the 4 little icons showcase the best part of a degree apprenticeship for me. So number 1, you obviously get your degree. It's a level 6 qualification that is recognised across the country and obviously internationally when you then look to study abroad. And also, as you do a degree apprentice, it also comes with a level 6 apprenticeship certificate, which quite a lot of people forget. So you end up walking away with 2 level 6 qualifications, which is more than a mainstream student. The next one is obviously there's no student debt. It is a massively large incentive for young people nowadays to really get on board with this opportunity, particularly as my own tuition fees are over £50,000. The opportunity to kind of take this by the horns and have your employer pay for it is something quite a lot of people are willing to grasp. Training, so not only are we looking at embracing your skills, developing your knowledge and expanding on the experiences you have, whilst you work on your degree and you're taught a variety of different modules, you'll actually continue to get your experience, knowledge and skills from your employer also. So you have your technical knowledge from both us at a university provider and then also your employer, but equally you'll have that hands-on experience that other mainstream students wouldn't necessarily have the same exposure to. And then your training is just a testament to your growth. You can share your knowledge and skills and experience intermittently between what you do at university and then what you do at work. And obviously what most young people are now interested in is pay. So having a salary alongside of having no student debt is something that is very incentive, and degree apprenticeships are becoming a very competitive market for people to enter in, and it's a great way that you can start your career. So on the next slide is thinking about how we can have a look at degree apprenticeships. So we want to raise awareness of them because, like I said, they're not typically well known. And as Chloe will later tell you, it's all about where you can hear them from. So we're trying to put that awareness out there and increase the recognition that it has. And it's evident because there is so much technology involved in our world at the moment, and it will continue to be more immersive as we go on. So whilst I'm the programme leader for DTSP, which is the Digital Technology Solutions Professional, there are a plethora of different degree apprenticeships across STEM industries. So you could be a data scientist, you could be an engineer, you could be an aeronautical engineer if you want to be, you could do cybersecurity or project management. It's not like you have to be someone who's doing coding or software or just science or a particular element. There are a range of different elements. And the beauty of a degree apprenticeship is that this isn't just limited to a first undergraduate degree. So if you're really interested in learning, have a great experience doing your degree apprenticeship, there are also higher degree apprenticeships which allow you to do a master's too. So if in the event you enjoyed your degree so much and juggling that alongside of working full time, you want to put yourself through even more training, then it's something that you're able to consider. To give you an overview about how degree apprenticeships are at the moment, on our next slide, you can see that there are an increasing number of apprenticeships throughout the UK. So since 2015, there's been over 3 million different apprenticeships, and this is continuing to rise, and it's just been released in the new budget that there's going to be more funding towards degree apprenticeships, which in my opinion is excellent news. And over a third of all the apprenticeships in 2022 were actually degree apprenticeships. So it's something that clearly we're seeing a lot of exposure into and a lot of interest. That being said, it's very surprising that only 25,000 of those apprenticeships were actually in information and communication technology industries. So we can clearly see that there's a disparity between tech, STEM, and other interesting areas there, in conjunction to the more common routes of apprenticeships, which are typically healthcare and social work. And even more alarmingly is that there's only 14% of STEM degree apprenticeships are completed by females, a statistic that I think is very important given today's stature of International Women's Day.
So I'm now going to take you right back to the beginning of my experience and what I heard about degree apprenticeships. So I mainly heard about degree apprenticeships through my college. They had Fujitsu and IBM both came in and gave presentations about the degree apprenticeships from students. And that's what absolutely sold degree apprenticeships to me. However, if that's not accessible to everyone, the government website is a great source of information to give you sort of an all-rounder view of degree apprenticeships and sort of general knowledge. Also, employer-specific websites are a great source of information for STEM careers, especially. I've listed a few below, but every company is going to be different, and that means every job role will be different. So it's great to check out the different job roles on offer, as they will all slightly differ and all the contracts will slightly differ. So the next thing was why I chose a degree apprenticeship, and this is pretty much everything Kim listed. You can't go wrong. So the money, you're paid the full wage throughout your whole time being an apprentice, and that in comparison to sort of maybe having a job on the side while you're in like a normal degree, it's so much more, and it means you can really enjoy yourself and continue having fun and a normal life while completing your degree. Secondly, no debt. So while Kim's mentioned she has 50 grand of debt, I don't have any. And that's something that I think scared me quite a lot, that I wanted to pursue the degree apprenticeship because I didn't want to have that debt and sort of an extra stress in my point of view. And next, it's more of like a 3-for-1 deal that you're getting. You're getting the degree, the apprenticeship, and the work experience. And for someone who's had to find a job after leaving uni, that's what really set me aside to a lot of employers. So I found that a lot of people would be asking for a certain amount of years of experience and your qualifications, but if you're straight out of uni, you're not going to have the experience. So it means you can be really limited in the jobs that you're going to be offered. So in my case, I went from being an apprentice to pretty much bypassing the rest and being like a mid-level developer because I had all that experience and my qualifications are on the same level as someone who has joined at that level after sort of slowly getting the experience after uni. And again, this wasn't in my case the same because I had a very rare situation, but most people will be employed upon leaving uni. And as someone who stresses a lot, I didn't want to leave uni with a lot of debt, like no money and no job. So completing a degree apprenticeship, this really sold it for me. That, again, you check the contracts, but pretty much every employer will ask you to stay on and continue working for them if you want to. So it means you have a job straight out of uni, and if not, you are highly employable. So now I'm going to take you through my experience over the 3 years of uni. So I started with a small startup company called Air Sensor in 2019, and I started here when I was sort of about to go into my second year at college. And I sort of started learning JavaScript, getting to know what the job role was like. And once I finished college, my boss said to me, like, hey, I've employed you to be an apprentice. I want you to go back and do an apprenticeship. And I straight up said to him, like, I've just finished college. I'm not going back to college to do like another college level qualification for 2 years. Will you put me through a degree apprenticeship? Because for our small startup, it wouldn't cost them anything. And of course, it's a great deal. So he did. I'm so thankful, because in 2020, I then started at Winchester, and it was the best decision I've ever made. So along that way, my halfway point, in 2021, I then moved my first company to Hula, which is slightly bigger. I went from being one of 10 employees to one of 50, which was a great experience. My boss took me and one other colleague over to Hula because Essence wasn't doing so great. But it was really great. I learned so much more because I was in a team of front enders, and I also had the opportunity to go around and gain experience from all the other departments if I wanted to. So then, a month before I was due to graduate, I was told by Hula that myself and 10% of the company were being made redundant. And that was such a shock and the most terrifying thing ever. But firstly, I'm glad that I had finished my dissertation by that point, and that was one less stress. But also, I'm so glad I did my degree apprenticeship because it made me so employable. So in October of 2023, I started at NOC, and yeah, I genuinely believe they employed me because I did my degree apprenticeship. I had all that experience and the qualifications, and I'm now in such an amazing role that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so if I wasn't in my degree apprenticeship and didn't get that go from Hula. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been really good. So that brings me to the topic of support. So joining uni is obviously a scary time, but I want you to know that you have so much support. Firstly, you have your employer, and there were multiple times where I was asked by sort of management roles and like colleagues if they could help me in any way, like just let them know. They were happy to look over my assignments and proofread feedback. I also had my managers help me with the coding parts, because when it does get to doing some sort of code or my dissertation, they're the experts and they were able to help me out like very quickly. Also, your lecturers are one of your main points of contact. Feel free to ask them as many questions as possible, get their feedback. And honestly, the amount of times I pestered Kim for feedback, but that's their job. They're there to support you and to help you along that way because they want you to succeed. So another one is that I don't know what it's like for other unis, but at least for Winchester, you get the careers advisors for life. So along the way, if you have any issues with your job or any questions, or even after later in life, you want to change jobs, you can go to them for advice and support, and they'll be more than happy to help. You also have the academic skills advisors, which are absolutely amazing. Because I started uni and I didn't know how to write a report. I also wasn't great at exams, and during my third year, we had the academic skills advisors come in, teach us exam techniques and sort of the most efficient ways of revising. And honestly, it helped so much. I'm so glad we had them to support us. And lastly, you've got your friends at uni. We would often sort of share our assignments to give each other feedback and to read each other's, because that helps you with your understanding of the topic. And to, from that, improve your own assignment, but also helping your friends. Also, we would sort of share ideas like, hey, I don't know what to put with this section. What have you got? So your friends are great support, and really there's so much support all around you. Everyone wants you to do the best and to really succeed during this time. So I'm someone that really worries like a lot. So I had a lot of worries before starting uni, and I just wanted to basically say, you don't have anything to worry about, and I'm going to tell you why. So firstly, I was worried about being the only girl, and I wasn't the only girl. There were only 4 others in my class, which was not many compared to the other boys, but really in the end, it didn't matter because you're going to become friends with everyone. Everyone is there because they have the same interest and you're all in very similar job roles. Everyone wants to succeed. So you've got so much in common with everyone around you. You become friends with them that you don't notice you're one of the only girls. I had friends like everywhere from the end of it, and it was great. And I was never discriminated against. I never felt different, or I was never worried while I was there. It was all that build up, it was all in my head, and there's nothing to worry about. So the second is experience. And I didn't do computer science at college. I did business and IT. So I was worried that I didn't have that experience to start with, but you don't need it. You're going to firstly learn most of your experience at work, if it's that technical side, but also at uni, all the modules are like made with beginners in mind. They're going to teach you everything from the complete basics all the way up. And if you do get stuck, again, you've got all that support around you. And also, others will feel the same. I had other people being like, oh my God, you've already got like a year of experience. I'm like, whoa, it's nothing. I really am in the same boat as you. I don't have that experience. So everyone feels the same and you don't have to worry about that. So the next are the assignments, because during college I didn't do that many assignments. I did a bit of coursework, but it's nothing sort of I thought would be compared to uni. But really, you're going to start at 1,000 words. In your second year, you go to 2,000, and in your third year, you go to 3,000. So it's such a gradual increase that it gets really easy. And most of the time, the bigger worry is, oh my God, I've got to cut down my words. And that's such another silly little thing. It's fine. And although like you might not fancy exams that much, there are presentations and the essays again. So I only did about 2 to 3 exams during my time at uni. And again, the academic skills advisors were there to help. And the presentations, I only had my very final one graded. The rest of it weren't graded. So that's a great chance for you to get the experience and the skills from all these different assessments and to be able to put it together for the future. But it's such a safe space, and you're there to learn. It's fine. There's nothing to worry about again. And the last one is a big one, but the workload. It seems like a lot when you're going into it, but it's not. And the main thing is that you have the off-the-job training spreadsheet. So this is something you have to complete for uni, and it means that you can allocate a certain amount of time to spend during your normal working hours working on your uni work. So I would book off either, a chunk like a week at a time or just the day and devote that to writing my assignments. And you're completely allowed to do this. They want you to do this. But obviously you've also got your weekends and after work and also any gaps during uni. So you will get this done. And also if you're struggling, you can speak to your employers, and I'm sure they'll help you. And also the fact that it's not like normal uni, you don't have much reading to do. And I've said homework, because really you don't get any homework. Quite honestly, if you do get given reading, go to the summaries and highlight it, and you can use that in your assignments. So it's all there to help you if you can do that reading. And the only other time I had that sort of homework was when I had my exam prep, and we were told to sort of practice for our exam. So you're doing it for your own benefit. It's not like when you're in school and you have to do it on the side. It's not much, and it's for your own benefit. So there's, again, no worries there. So the next topic I wanted to talk about was the EPA and the synoptic project. So this is what makes up the main portion of your final grade, and really to tell you that everything's prepared you for this. So it's not as scary as it sounds like it will be. So the EPA is your endpoint assessment, which is made up of the EPA mapping document and a 30-minute presentation. In the presentation, you're going to talk for about 25 minutes and then have 5 minutes of questions. And all you need to do is talk about your dissertation. So you're just going to pull pieces from your dissertation, which you've already written by this point, and just put that into each section. So you're talking about things you already know with the experience of presentations you've learnt throughout your degree. So you've got all the skills there and you know this topic really well. So it's, again, not a scary experience. You'll then be asked questions from a board of examiners. However, these examiners are only made up of someone who's external from the uni, someone who's internal from the uni, and your mentor or your manager who you've brought on the day to this. So they're all going to be really lovely people, and they're going to ask you questions about your EPA mapping document, only about 3 or so. And I was asked about just one of the projects I've done, sort of how I handled leadership in that role. They're very easy questions you've already written the answers to. So if you need time to think about it, you can, and you'll be fine. And the rest of the questions were just about my presentation, sort of about the design techniques or the research methods. So again, it's all things you know really well, so you don't need to worry about that. And the last bit is that by this point, you do need to have your off-the-job completed. So that whole spreadsheet needs to be filled out, but it's your benefit, so make sure we do it across the 3 years. And the EPA mapping document, which is a big document of KSBs, where you're going to have roughly either 2 modules worth or 1 module written about in each box. And your lecturers will tell you exactly how they want you to complete this. They'll give you feedback on it. They'll give you an example if you need that. So they will support you in how to write this. So all you've got to do is just do it at the end, and it's brilliant. And that makes up the first part. So the second part is the synoptic project. So depending on your pathway, it's an 8,000 to 10,000 word essay. But really, that's not a lot, because if you think about it, it's only 3 assignments put into one. And also, you're going to make it up out of what might be a programming module. So that will teach you about the testing and how to write about that part of things, and how to document the design of your sort of artifact if you need to include one, and things like that. So using that essay, you might need a project management section. So that's going to go in there. And a lot of your assignments will include literature reviews. So you're going to use the same techniques and put that into your dissertation as well. So you're just recycling everything you've already learned to put in your dissertation. And for me, I wrote the 10,000 words, and again, most of it was trying to cut down the words. But as long as you section it off and sort of plan out roughly how much you want to spend, it's so easy to write. So like I've just said, I had a artifact included because I had the software engineering pathway. The other ones didn't, but basically this just meant that you were told by your employer roughly what they wanted you to do, but you can sort of discuss with them what you want. If you're in sort of a back-end role and you're technical, you might just make a script. I made a holiday booking system because you need to improve a process in your workplace. So as long as it's relevant to your job and it's going to improve on something, and your manager is happy to sign this off, you can do that for your artifact. The next part is that you're going to be given a dissertation supervisor, and they are so helpful. They've helped other students before you, so they know what they're doing, and they're there to guide you through this whole process and help you sort of pick your artifact or your dissertation question, even help you the title. My dissertation supervisor was brilliant with the fact that I didn't know what to do for my questionnaire and the questions. So he helped me find some sources and bring that together. We also discussed which research model I wanted. And it's everything I'd already learnt, but putting in this new context, his help was brilliant during this time. He was also there to give me feedback along the whole way. So every section I submitted, I'd get more feedback on, make the changes. And it's also worth noting that you have 6 months to complete both of these, or even just the dissertation on its own, if that's what you're doing, which is honestly more than long enough. And it means that, I mean, for me, by Christmas, we were told we wanted the first 6,000 due if possible. So some people didn't, but I did choose to try and get the first 6,000 of my dissertation in. And that meant that by that point, more than half of my dissertation was written. I got really great feedback on it, and I was able to use that to then improve what I'd already written and continue to write the next. So it's all completely manageable, and it's a very smooth process, even though it's daunting at first. So the last topic I want to talk about are some final thoughts. And these are things I wish I'd known before starting my degree. So I mentioned at the start I got a first when I graduated, but it wasn't until my second year of uni, right at the end in my last semester, where I started getting firsts. The rest of it I was getting 2-1s, which is a great grade. But the thing that really turned this around was when I was asking for feedback, but then asking for more feedback multiple times. So I would get my original bit of feedback, improve upon that, or I then write a new section, or even just the improved bit, I would ask for the feedback over and over again and take the feedback from previous assignments and really incorporate this in my new assignments. And that's what started to make my essays sort of more flawless, to the fact that I was able to get those higher grades. The second bit is the fact that I didn't think that this at the time of uni, but looking back, you're not at uni to learn to code. Even if you're in that pathway, that's not why you're there. You're employed by specialists who have known to code for a much longer time than your lecturers at uni. You're doing the specialist stuff at work. That's where you're there to learn it. You do cover some of it at uni, and it's more about the technique rather than the actual language, but you're there to learn about the other modules at uni, which leads me into my third point, was that these modules do relate to your workplace, because now, having moved roles and changed careers and a bit of everything really, the modules don't seem relevant at the time, but now I look back and I'm so glad that I learned project management and sort of cybersecurity, and even things like intellectual property law, which at the time I kicked off about. I didn't know why I was learning that, but looking back, that has been so useful and it has related to my job. So I'm really glad that I now understand that, and that I did complete those modules and it wasn't just coding, because that wouldn't have been as helpful to me. And as I've touched on before, the 10,000 words are not as scary as they sound. It's just putting those few essays that you've already completed into one big one, and you've got all that support around you to help you and to really succeed.
Was there a slight problem?
I think we've lost Chloe temporarily, potentially from an internet perspective.
Okay.
But yes, I'm happy to fill the gap whilst Chloe returns. So yeah, what Chloe says in a nutshell is a great overview of a degree apprentice. And as much as any university or training provider can obviously sell you what they can offer you, the modules that you'd be expected to do, show you around our facilities, the lovely buildings that we have and everything else, really hearing it from a degree apprentice themselves, like Chloe, is really important, because that's the experience that you guys will have. I could say that my program's amazing at Winchester, and try and get everyone to do it. But until you're in that position and juggling full-time work, full-time study, and then having a social life, is only something that Chloe can attest to.
Chloe, would you like to
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi completely cut out there. I'll reshare.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I was saying, you can do a bit of both, really. Nothing's stopping you from enjoying uni like the regular uni students. And lastly, you can change employers if you feel the need to. So mine wasn't particularly by choice, but if you're not enjoying your employer, or if you have any issues, as long as you can get the new company to agree to it, you can change companies. And the only thing I would recommend not doing is changing any later than your sort of second year, because I changed halfway through mine, and after that point you're just getting closer to your dissertation, which may be more stressful. And sort of those are all things I wish I'd known. And that's everything. So if you have any questions, let me know.